Hi, I'm Carter Wilson, bestselling author and writing coach, and welcome back to Motivations for Writers. You know, I think sometimes we forget that writing is supposed to be fun. That doesn't mean it's supposed to be relaxing or easy or not some effortless romantic thing where the words just pour out like champagne. But I mean fun in that deep, messy, frustrating, surprising way where something inside you wakes up and says, yeah, this is why I'm here. This is what it's all about. But at some point, that part gets buried. When we start writing, we start out loving it. Those early days when you get lost in the story, when those hours disappear, when you look up from your keyboard and realize it's dark out and you haven't eaten since breakfast, that's pretty magical. I remember those days. That's the thing I think every writer chases. And then slowly, it turns into work. And I preach a lot about how writers should treat their writing like work, because I think that's where you get the gravity that you need with your writing in order to finish things. That's when you start taking it seriously. But what you want to avoid is losing the fun. You don't want to be absorbed in constant deadlines, word counts, revisions, maybe comparison to other writers. You know, you don't want to have it be where every sentence has to mean something. Every chapter has to land perfectly. Every scene has to matter. Because that's when the joy and the curiosity and the sense of discovery, that's when they start to fade a little bit. And when I think about this, I realize, life is the same way. We all take life so seriously. We're told that if we're not constantly grinding, achieving, improving, that somehow we're wasting time. We tend to treat happiness like a finish line. When I sell this book, I'll be happy when I hit that bestsellers list, when I finally get that deal or the agent or the validation. Then I'll be good. But I think we all know that's not how the story goes. You hit the milestone and then you immediately move the goalposts. The finish line vanishes. So maybe it's worth asking, are you actually having fun right now? Are you enjoying the process, whether it's writing or anything else you're doing in your life? If you're not finding some form of joy in the process, I don't think you'll find it in the result. I heard this old line once that goes, to have faith is to trust yourself to the water. Basically meaning you can't hold onto water. If you try, it slips through your fingers. And the trick is to float. And that's what writing really is. That's what living is. You show up, you do your best work, but you don't strangle it. You stop trying to control the outcome. And that's where most of us go wrong. We grip so tight that we choke the life out of the thing that we love. We think caring means clinging, but it doesn't. Caring means showing up every day, yes, but leaving room for wonder. As a writer, when you try to control every word, every turn, every possible outcome, you stop creating and all you're doing is managing. And managing kills creativity faster than anything else. Something I've learned over all these years of writing is that the best writing I've ever done didn't happen when I was trying to be great. It happened when I was just being curious. when there was a sense of wonder involved, when I thought, I wonder what happens if I do this. And I think that's when the pages came alive. And that doesn't even mean it results in writing that you'll keep. It just means you're playing. You're having a sense of joy. And after 2 decades of writing books, the process still isn't predictable. I still get stuck. I still hate my drafts sometimes. I still write chapters that give me a sinking feeling of just knowing they're not up to par and will have to be rewritten later. But I've learned to turn those moments, the ones where I feel, lost or uncertain, into part of the dance. And you think about it, dancing. Nobody dances just to rush and get to that last step. Nobody listens to music just to hear that singular final note. The whole point of it all is the movement, the melody, the rhythm. And that's writing. The joy is in the doing, not in the being done. And yeah, I know that sounds like a cliche. We hear this before, but think about it. If you only allow yourself to be happy when it's done, you're guaranteeing that most of your writing life will feel like a grind. You'll spend years suffering for the 10 minutes of satisfaction when you get to type the end. I don't see how that's sustainable. That's not joy. That's martyrdom. Stop waiting for permission to enjoy it. Stop waiting until you're successful to let it be fun again. Because you'll never be done. You finish a book and immediately wonder what's next. Maybe you get the deal and immediately feel behind somebody else. I think that's the nature of creative ambition. It just never feels complete. So you've got to build joy into the process, not after it. For me, that means treating writing like playtime in a way, even when it's dark, even when it's emotional, even when it's hard. I sit down with a sense of curiosity. What's going to happen today? What is my subconscious going to throw at me? I'm excited because a lot of times I don't know where the story's going to go. And there's a joy in the discovery, even if there's a lot of pain in the discovery as well, even though it's hard work. And that mindset for me changes everything because suddenly even failure becomes part of the fun. When I write a bad scene, and I write plenty of those, I don't spiral about it anymore. I just think, well, that didn't work. And then I try something else. I'm not failing, I'm experimenting. And experiments can't fail. All they do is just reveal more data. You're just finding out a way it doesn't work. And that's okay. And the older I get and the more that I write, the more I realize writing isn't about trying to perfect something. It's not about mastery. It's about exploration. The day you stop being curious, you stop being creative. But we've been conditioned to think creativity is about control, about precision and outcomes. That reminds me of people who go on vacation and plan every minute of every day. The people who are planning a trip and they've got spreadsheets, itineraries, reservations, backup reservations, and by the end of the trip, they've seen everything, but they haven't experienced anything. Think about the last time you went on vacation and you did something unexpected. You explored a street that you weren't planning to. think about those moments that have come out of those vacations that are the most memorable. Chances are those weren't planned. The problem with over-planning is you hit your goals, but you miss the joy. You can care deeply about your craft without caring so desperately about the result. And I know that's a hard balance to learn, caring without clinging. The reason we cling is fear. Fear of failure, fear of being irrelevant, fear of being ordinary. But also that fear is the same energy that once made you excited to write. It's the same spark, just turned inward. It's passion with nowhere to go. So point it outward again. Channel it back into curiosity. When you stop worrying about what the world thinks, when you stop trying to impress your imaginary audience, you free up so much creative energy, it's ridiculous. It's like finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. And honestly, that's when the good stuff comes. The surprising sentences, the unexpected turns, or you find your authentic voice. That's when the writing stops being a chore and starts being alive again. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals. I mean, I say it all the time. I'm a huge believer in goals. They give me guardrails. They give me a direction. But they shouldn't define you. If you're measuring your self-worth by your progress, you're kind of missing the point, because the process is the progress. You don't want to become a writer when you publish a book. You become a writer the moment you start showing up for your work. It's the showing up that counts. The people who last in this business, who find long-term fulfillment, they're not the ones chasing every shiny little thing. They're the ones who stay curious, who fall in love with the process over and over again. You know the quote, "The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried"? That's writing. That's what fun looks like when you zoom out far enough. Because it's fun to try. It's fun to push yourself, to take risks and make those glorious mistakes. Fun doesn't mean easy. Fun means meaningful. Fun means being alive in the moment of creation, being present, being grateful. Look, I've had books that I thought were going to be way more successful than they were. And I've had books that surprised me, books I didn't expect anyone really to read much more than my normal following, that ended up connecting in a way that I never saw coming. You can't predict it. And that's one of the things that keeps me going, that mystery, that moment when I sit down and think, I have no idea what's going to happen today, but I'm going to find out. That makes it fun. So maybe today when you sit down to write, loosen your grip a little. Don't focus on whether it's good. Forget about who's going to read it. Forget about whether it's marketable. Don't focus on how hard it can be sometimes just to construct a single sentence. just write something that feels alive to you. Because when you're lit up by your work, I promise you it'll show. Readers can feel it, editors can feel it, strangers will feel it. But when you write from fear, from control, from obligation, that shows too. So take a breath, step back, and ask yourself, am I having fun? And be honest with yourself. And if the answer is no, that's not failure. That's feedback. Change something, experiment, go weird. Write a scene you'll cut out later, kill a character, maybe introduce one. Try writing in second person. Just start playing again. Because you don't dance for the last step. You don't listen to music for the final note. You dance because it feels good to move. You write because it feels good to create. The joy is in the doing. And when you remember that, when you stop trying so hard to be perfect and start letting yourself be present, the words come easier. The stories get deeper. And it starts getting fun again. That's the magic. It's not in the ending. It's in the current. And all you have to do is float.